Would someone who is potentially being charged in a New York case like this, would that person know beforehand that the day it is going to happen? Or do you think Donald Trump is just guessing here?
So sometimes certainly attorneys are notified ahead of time. And I think, the most important thing at this moment is this is a very serious event. Everyone should take a moment of pause. We don't know whether it's true or not. I personally have never believed a word out of Donald Trump's mouth, so I'm not about to start now just because he's tweeting something. There are reports that there are still at least one witness to go before the grand jury and the like, and I think everyone should just take a breath. The criminal process, jail, is always, always ugly and sad no matter what. That's particularly true if it happens to be the former leader of our government. That's something that's never happened before. And, at the same time, we have a rule book in this country, which is one rule book, and no one's above the law. And I think it's important to remember when you hear these political attacks on the district attorney in New York, remember that Trump's own guy, Michael Cohen, went to jail for precisely the stuff that Bragg is investigating, which is these payments to Stormy Daniels like. That was part of why the Justice Department found Michael Cohen guilty. And that same Justice Department, this is the federal Justice Department, said that Michael Cohen's actions were directed by individual number one, which we know to be Donald Trump, and that this wasn't legitimate expenses for legal fees and the like, but that it was hush money. Now, the most important fact about this is that was not the Obama Justice Department making that finding. It was not the Merrick Garland Justice Department making that finding. It was Donald Trump's own Justice Department that made that finding in federal court. So, when you hear all these talk about this is all politicized and the like, I think it's important to remember Trump's own Justice Department drew a similar conclusion back then. But of course, there was a doctrine that said that sitting presidents couldn't be indicted for federal crimes. Trump is no longer a sitting president.
I tell you, that perspective is invaluable as we approach this story in news today. Let me get to you now, Peter. Your reaction to Trump announcing that he's going to be arrested on Tuesday and then calling on his supporters to protest, which, as we want to remind everyone, is similar to what happened in the days before January 6th.
Yeah, of course, obviously, peaceful protests are perfectly legitimate in our society. The question, of course, is his record of fomenting non-peaceful protests. That's the worry that you hear from law enforcement officials. Look, I think we should step back for a second, as Neil is saying here, and remind ourselves of just how extraordinary this moment is. We've become so inured to all the investigations and the back and forth and the twists and turns when it comes to Trump over the years that we've lost sight in some ways of just how extraordinary a moment this is, right? That we're about to see potentially, at least according to the former president himself, an indictment of a former president. Hasn't happened in our history. And why is that? It raises all sorts of big historical questions, not just the small legal questions at stake in this particular case. The bigger questions, of course, being, what does this say about our system? Can we have a system where, as Neil says, no person is above the law, accountability applies to everyone, and yet it will be seen as partisan. It will be seen, because the former president will want it to be seen that way, it will be seen as illegitimate by a large share of the population. Does it make us look like a banana republic, like other countries that simply put the person who lost power into a criminal jeopardy? That's the worry I think you see on the part of a lot of people who are involved in law enforcement and history. I think that's the concern here. How will this be remembered by history? The other thing to remember is, of course, it may only be the first of multiple indictments. This doesn't seem like the most serious of all the charges against the president, given that he was been accused of he did try to overturn an election, been accused of fomenting an insurrection. The other indictments that may or may not come later, of course, go more to the heart of his presidency, more to the heart of his conduct in office.
Yeah. And of course, I want to remind viewers, we do not want to amplify Trump's call for protests. We are just merely trying to discuss what he is putting out there and do so in a calm and rather sage manner. But let me get to you, Charles. Are you surprised by this announcement? Legally speaking, was it a good decision for him to do this?
Well, Alex, legally speaking, has never been a measure that Donald Trump engages around what he says and does not say publicly. I think it's important to understand that Donald Trump didn't testify in front of the grand jury in Manhattan for a reason. And one of the reasons is when you're under oath, under investigation in front of a grand jury, you can't control the narrative, but he can control the public narrative, which is what you see him doing. In his words, the best defense is a good offense. And so what he's looking to do is essentially attack Alvin Bragg, attack Michael Cohen, attack Stormy Daniels, and attack anyone else who he thinks he can basically get ground in terms of the court of public opinion. That's his playbook. That's what I expect him to do. And legally, I don't necessarily know that this sort of announcement is going to have too many repercussions from him necessarily. I do think that it might result potentially, if a judge is considering the ramifications of what a bail order would look like. He's not going to get bail because New York doesn't have cash bail for nonviolent felony offenses. But what could happen is that because of these sorts of tweets, a judge might sort of put a gag order on him and keep him from talking publicly about the case or limit what it is that he can say. So in that way, it might have a negative sort of connotation or a negative effect. But ultimately, I don't necessarily know that it hurts him legally in that sense.